Welcome to Mr. Nin's Neighborhood! Today is our fourth installment of Drunk Fallacies of a 10-part series where we explain drunk. We filmed all 10 Drunk Fallacy segments in one night, so each episode we get a little more drunk than the last. And in case you're unaware of what a logical fallacy is, it's faulty reasoning in the construction of an argument. It's basically a flaw in reason, and its meaning is literally in its own name. Fallacy essentially means mistake or deception, so a logical fallacy is a mistake in logic or deceptive argument. Well, enjoy the show. I'm a pregnant man.
You're wearing this tight thing, and when I felt you, you felt like you were like, all like hard.
I'm wearing Spanx.
Your skin feels like you have a lot of swelling. Like your tissue is like pushing on your belly.
This is the fourth episode of our 10-part series, the fourth installment.
I feel like you have swelling. Feel your skin. Feel your skin. Like over here. Feel it over here. It feels like you've got this like tight swelling. Oh.
Okay, so this is the fourth episode in our 10-part series. Drunk Fallacies, where we explain errors in logic, simple logical fallacies.
So weird.
Why we are drunk. This is number 4, the false dichotomy. Did we do number 3?
I don't know.
God damn it.
I love your Spanx.
I love you. Welcome back to Mr. Nin's Neighborhood. Today is episode number 4, False Dichotomy. We've been drinking our drinks off. False Dichotomy. I did an episode on this one a while back and it was boring as fuck. And I deleted it because it was boring as fuck. Today's topic is false dichotomy. It's also known as the either-or fallacy or the excluded middle. So the false dichotomy, aka false dilemma, or the black and white fallacy. So basically this is where you give two extremes and you accept nothing in between. So like, the one I hear a lot is, you're either with us or you're against us. Well, if you're not with us, you're against us. You can support the troops and be against the war, for example. If there was a war going on, which maybe there is by the time you watch this. I don't know. But does that make sense to you? Yeah. You're with us or you're against us? Okay, time to interrupt and give a sober definition of the false dichotomy. So it's basically offering a limited amount of possibilities and ignoring all other possibilities. It's usually presented as only two extreme possibilities. That's why it's often called the either-or fallacy or the black and white fallacy. In politics and media, it's often used as a manipulative tool to divide people into heroes and villains. All right, let's get on with the show. It's saying that either this is true or this is true and you can't accept anything in between. This is used a lot in politics. Can you give me an example of a false dichotomy?
Nope.
Why not?
I'm not good at thinking of stuff like that.
Okay, so some examples are, if we can't reduce public spending, our economy will collapse, and everything is either good or evil. And of course, my favorite example is, that I already mentioned, you're either with us or you're against us. Okay, so another example, how about a controversial one? If you support Black Lives Matter, you're against the police, or if you support the police, you don't care about black people's lives. This debate actually usually just devolves into a false dichotomy. I'm not making a political statement right now, by the way. I don't want to get into this topic. It would take an entire episode. It's way too complex. It's way too complex and requires a lot of detail and nuance, which shows my point perfectly here. Because if you can sum this topic up with a soundbite or a meme, then you're probably guilty of committing a false dichotomy or some other logical fallacy. And it makes sense why people do this. Our brains don't usually like nuanced and complex topics, which is why debates like this and like gun control usually revolve entirely around logical fallacies, and turn your opponent into a bad guy or a one-dimensional stereotype. There's not only two kinds of people in the world. Not to complicate things, but you're also straw-manning your opponent, but that's a fallacy for another day. I didn't mean to get into heavy topics there, but, yeah, let's, get back to the drunk and just have some fun. So, it's either one way or the other, and there can be nothing in between. It's black or white. Gray doesn't exist.
It doesn't matter if you're black or white.
Ooh, but it matters if you're yellow or red. That sounded really racist, didn't it? Or hot pink. Can I save face right here?
I was like,
That was really bad.
yeah. And he's retired.
Okay, so if somebody says it's either this way or that way and there's nothing in between, that's usually a false dichotomy. That was a short one. Thanks for watching.
Mr. Newton's Neighborhood was made possible by viewers like you.
Be a neighbor and subscribe. See you next time.